Today's episode, we have Rob from Flying V Group out of Newport Beach, California, and he's a marketing guru. And he talks about where to spend your money, where not to spend your money, things that you need to know as a business owner. And then he also dives into the part where he bootstrapped his company from the ground up with his brother and his best friend. So it's a great story. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode. And if you have it in your heart, please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. I would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the episode. All right, Rob Fahrion, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah. Really happy to be here and appreciate the opportunity to chat with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's interesting about you is we're going to go like two different avenues. I want to pick your brain. You're a marketing expert. We're going to go down that route so listeners can get some good, valuable marketing tips. But first, I want to start with you built this company from the ground up and you had your brother, and I think I read you had $10,000.
Yep, $15,000 between my brother and then our third partner, Brennan Smith. 2016 bootstrapped the company from day one. And still, the three of us own, operate wholly, no outside investment either. So it's been a fun ride.
Wow. And you've built this company up to a multimillion-dollar agency. So I would love for you to tell me, how did you do that? Tell me what 2016 looked like. Now, 10 years later, 2026.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like in marketing, right? Things change so fast and new technology comes online all the time. But when we kind of zoom out a little bit and look back, we're still just really operating with the same, I think, core principles. And I think that's what's helped us navigate what is either changes in technology, changes in the macro environment. Obviously, with that timeline right in the middle of everything, you had COVID and the entire world changing. And we were 30-some-year-old first-time entrepreneurs saying, oh my God! How do
Uh-oh.
we? Where's the playbook for a worldwide pandemic? But I think, yeah, going back, I mean, we have a back. I should start. We have a background in sports. So my brother and I played football, baseball growing up, and then Brennan and I actually met. I coached him. He was a senior in high school, and in a prior life, I coached high school football, and he was one of my position players. And then we were very close in age. I think I was 20. He was 18 at the time. So I ended up building a budding friendship and kept in touch, and then had obviously a lot of similar traits. But those traits were rooted in, I think, those core principles of team mentality, attention to detail. So not letting the little things slide, because a lot of times those are what could make or break success or failure, right? It might be just proofreading your contract that you send to a potential client and making sure there's no typos. And if there is a typo, that could be the piece that, if all things are equal, someone makes a decision off of. Accountability, right? So obviously in sports, showing up to the summer practices when weightlifting at 6 a.m., but you have to have that mindset of like, okay, I'm doing this for the games in November, right?
Right. The future gains. Right.
When they really matter, right? So I think it's understanding that, one foot in front of the other, focus on those attention to details in the day, the task at hand to get done, knowing and believing that those will compound over time. And then for us, just, we truly believe there's a right way and a wrong way to do business, right? We need to be transparent. We need to build trust with especially our clients. We need to be authentic, right? And communicate, we find being the business one in the agency world, right? Whether things are going to go good and things are also going to go bad, right? But as long as I think you're communicating what's happening with the client, and obviously in sports, the best teams tend to communicate the best, especially on the field or whatever game they might be playing. So yeah, I think it actually goes back more to principles versus tactics, and just staying true to who you are, how you believe you want to build your business out, and just staying true to those over the years, regardless of what might be thrown at you.
Yeah, very well said. And in those beginning days when you're building the company and you're starting with $10,000 to $15,000, being a marketing company, what did you guys do in the beginning to start growing your
Yeah.
clients, at that time?
Yeah, great question. So definitely it was a lot of, okay, get your elbows dirty, blocking and tackling, keeping the sports metaphors going, but reaching out to local network or personal network, right? Who are those friends? Family, be a little careful, right? But
Right.
people in your community as well. We really focused on localized efforts to where I could go and sit down and have coffee and shake their hand and communicate with them face to face. Because early on, you don't have that portfolio, you don't have that experience. So you have to kind of build that trust at just a human level. So that was one of our key focuses. And then we had a lot of time on our hands because we didn't have a lot of client work, but we didn't have a lot of money, obviously, because we were bootstrapping the business. So, and this is where I was saying, as things change, the more they stay the same. We really did focus on high quality content and information. And we were sharing our stories primarily through our blog. I was blogging about just, I'm working on this. Here's a problem I solved and how I did it. And then we start to find that people were finding that information. They maybe were doing it on their own, great, or they were trying it, failing, or they were just looking at it and being like, I don't want to do it. And in those two or three situations, that at that point they were potentially calling us, right, or at least considering us. So we put a huge emphasis on blog content, search engine optimization, because a lot of that was really just our time writing about our experiences, documenting information and trying to share how we were solving problems and challenges. And then obviously with that, that came interest for people having those same problems, knowing we could
Hmm.
solve them, and then them working with us at that point once we went through due diligence, proposal process, etc.
Yeah. What were some of those hardest moments, especially working with your brother? I would imagine like there's some differing opinions. And I don't know if are you older than him or is there like what's the birth
Yeah,
order there?
yeah, I'm the older brother by 3 years, and then Brennan's 3 years younger as well. And yeah, Brennan's like honestly a brother to me at this point, and one of my best friends for sure. Both of them. Yeah, there are definitely challenges, right? I think there's already like an increased business is emotional just in general, right? Anything having to do with money, finances, performance, success, what individual people want is emotional. But when you factor in, hey, yeah, it's family, there's just another level of emotion that's involved. And I think sometimes when I look back and reflect where we might have got a little bit sideways is I didn't, there were times where we would treat each other or say things to one another that you would never say to like a regular coworker, right? And we weren't giving the same respect because it was my brother or my best friend, and
Right. It's
you
hard.
can't
You see them in a certain
that
position.
you can say things, but you also still need to understand, hey, it's a human element as well. And we got to make sure that we're communicating, giving the same respect, but also still holding accountability the same as well. That's a big one there. So just because Tyler's my brother and I'm his brother and Brennan's very close to us as well, like we're accountable in the same way that the brand new hire is
Mhm.
accountable. And we're accountable even more so to the rest of our team and to one another. So the accountability aspect of our business starts with us. We need to show up every day. We need to face the music when the clients are upset or a team member needs support because they're struggling. That's where we have to always be there and be readily available. So, yeah, I think just communication again, respect for one another, right? And just remembering that we're all working towards a common goal. So when it does get a little bit heated, that's where take a deep breath, come back in 5-10 minutes, and then all right, sorry, yeah, I love you, man. Okay, all right, here we
Right.
all right, I
I'll see
said
you at
that.
the family party
Yeah,
tomorrow.
exactly. But the more you can limit those heated ones, definitely the better. Because if they do start to pile up, that's when yeah, you could start to get obviously some resentment and there.
Right, and not bringing in, like, previous patterns of growing up together into
Yeah.
that business aspect of it,
Yes.
family business can be very
Yes.
interesting, so
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because we all go way, way, way back. Even to probably Brennan holds some times over me. Hey, you remember when you made me run those sprints in
right, yeah,
practice?
exactly. It's like, you're listening to me now, and so
Yeah.
I'm in charge in this
Yeah.
department."
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so
But
what would have been your first hires? So it's the 3 of you guys building this. At what
yeah.
point do you decide, A, to stay bootstrapped, not get a VC, and then
Mhm.
also, like, who's that first person that you're hiring?
Yeah, good question. So early days, we did start to find different because it was project a lot of project based and websites was what we started with. So it'd be, a 3 month run, but then what was happen is we'd ramp up some projects and then they would fall off. So it was very inconsistent in terms of a regular or consistent recurring growth model. But what happened was we started to build a network of good people. We didn't always have problems for them to solve, but that was nice with the flexibility. But what happened was we really wanted to get out of that one time fee type model for the websites. And so we started to look at, okay, well, we just built this website. They invested 10,000 bucks, whatever the number was. Now they want to get a return on that website. So that's where we started to get into more of the monthly recurring. We focus on what we call monthly recurring net income, so profitability on a consistent month over month basis. And the way that we drive that is through paid media advertising, search engine optimization. So we started to, okay, build out these recurring services that at first we were servicing, but then as they built up, okay, we knew we had a contract for 12 months with this client, we could start to onboard. So we actually didn't make our first full-time hire until the end of 2019. So we were really just running lean, more of a pseudo agency, right? More like, hey, three really good consultants, contractors, and myself, Brennan, and my brother. But then we just had more clients than we could handle. So yeah, it was the end of 2019. And then
And
COVID
then guess
hit
what happened?
2020, right? And it kind of shifted our entire hiring model and concept after the fact. And I think now is a blessing in disguise, but we started to look and hire full time resources remotely. So we were able to scale team a lot faster because we were building out paid media team in South America, SEO team in India, operations team in the Philippines, more North American resources, but not in Orange County where we're based, which you're paying a premium on
Mhm.
talent. We'd love to do that, and we do that now. But at the time, we didn't have an office for them to come into. So,
Right, and all that overhead and
yeah, exactly. People in the Midwest, East Coast, Canada as well. And yeah, really started to just grow with that model and then have since centralized the business back at our headquarters in Newport Beach. And about 30% of our workforce is now local in Orange County.
oh, what a goal. That's so cool that you can say, like, you did bring it to where you wanted it to be with having, a more local hub spot, we'll say, in
Yeah,
Newport.
and it's kinda just as an entrepreneur too, just that adaptability, right? There are gonna be a lot of things that are completely out of your control because, like, 2020, when we made that first hire, we were ready to line up, like, 2 or 3 more, and
Mhm.
then, boom, out of nowhere, half our business just out the door, and early days, going back to what I was saying earlier, we were working with, you guessed it, local businesses, coffee
Mhm.
shops, restaurants, right? And all their doors were closed. And so, yeah, but that's when we said, hey, we think there's an opportunity here. So, not the best term, but Wall Street term, right? Buy when there's blood in the streets.
Right, yeah.
And we saw that
Do the opposite.
a lot of the agencies that were local had a lot of overhead, had a lot of people. Were having to obviously close their doors and offices, which was creating organizational dysfunction. And so that's when we got more aggressive with advertising. We started hiring. We kept on all of the clients that came to us and said, "Hey, we can't afford to work with you guys right now." We said, "Hey, no problem. Like working with you through this as a partner just for the experience." And same thing for them. We felt like we could make up a lot more ground because a lot of their competitors were going to be shutting off their marketing services at that point. So,
Well, and that's
just
gonna create such a loyal person
exact.
when you've been there for them through the hardest times and you show that you're not just gonna run the other direction.
That's
Like,
exactly
that's
right.
huge for these small businesses that can't lean on people all the time. They can't pay when no one's coming in their restaurant, and that's the first thing that they're gonna lose is their marketing budget,
Yep.
which in turn is gonna hurt them in the long run when things do get back to normal.
That's exactly right. And yeah, it was, you can talk about wanting to be a partner and be in the trenches with your clients, but when you actually have to be, that's what makes or breaks. I think the best businesses is the ones that are able to, yeah, stick through it, work through problems, challenges. And, it's the same way we apply it to smaller challenges, right? Like, hey, we want to solve it, fix it, correct it if we did something wrong until the very end. And, right. And sometimes, yeah, there is always churn, of course, in this business, and not every relationship ends up perfectly. But it's that strive for perfection that, keeps a majority of our clients retained for a long period of time.
Right, and coming back and realizing the difference in service that they're getting.
That's right.
All right, so speaking of working with clients, I really wanna do, like, deep dive into the whole marketing aspect for a lot of my listeners are small business owners, entrepreneurs, they're starting
Right.
up, they're solopreneurs. What if you could just give us first, like, a brief overview of, like, what are you seeing what's shifting in marketing right now? Like, where do we see things going? What are the trends happening right now?
Yeah, so AI obviously is the obvious answer, right? And the buzzword, just in terms of how that's affecting marketing and just technology in general. And I think the biggest thing is it's just how people are getting information now is what's the dynamic that's shifting so fast. Before, people going just to your traditional search engines, primarily Google, 99% of people going to Google, and that's where they were getting their information. And then doing their research, clicking into websites, coming back, coming back, coming back. Well, now a lot more people are spending time either just natively on Gemini AI or on ChatGPT querying it. I just had a baby girl last October, and I mean, my wife is like
Oh, congrats.
on that thing constantly, right? And just querying this happened, this versus prior, like for her to get that information that she gets so quickly by just doing general research through search results would take a long period of time, and she wouldn't get as much done or have as much information. And so we're seeing that search volumes are actually like being depressed. So there's just not as many of those search queries happening on a regular basis because people are just spending time in ChatGPT or Claude, whatever they might be using. So to get to the point, what's happening is we're trying to figure out, well, how are these queries in these LLMs pulling the information in, right?
Mhm.
And I think right now, no one really does have a clear exact answer, and the reason being is there's so many variations of the way people prompt and query things, right? Versus Google search, it was binary. You put the keyword in, click, and then
And
they
sometimes it gave you the sentence to search.
exactly,
It
they
literally fed
already
it to you.
that's right. Yeah, great point. I hadn't even thought of that actually, Sarah. So that's a great point. And notice, yeah, the recommended searches, it was already a query database and it knew what
Mhm.
results would pull. And for marketers like us, okay, that's a lot easier to impact because you know what you're targeting. So what that's changing is trust and authenticity and authority, I think, are the key drivers. And what we're seeing is more social content, video content, conversations like this, you and I, to where people can then hear me talk, know that it's me, not some chat GPT
Yeah.
article, and then say, okay, yes, this is someone that can provide whatever particular service it might be, that they say they can offer and provide value with. And so, what does that mean? I think, yeah, it means as much as AI is robot, 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 it brings forward the human element more than anything. So, who are the trusted people? Who does have the experience, the education? And then, how can we validate that those individuals are the ones providing this information? And that's where video content has seen a huge surge. And a lot of those citations in LLMs, when they do crunch the numbers and get the answers, are being derived from these types of conversations and it being able to extract those transcripts and understand that, oh, Rob and Sarah were really the actual
They
ones,
actually spoke
not
their
AI.
words,
I'm real, not a AI. That's a real,
not glitching.
that's exactly. And that builds trust, right? And at the end of the day, business is all about trust. Can I trust that this person will do the job? Can I trust that they're not going to rip me off? And do they have my best interests in mind? So, yeah. And then like more tactical, we've seen like paid ads working really well because since there's been that deflation of the search volume, you're having to just find that new business or demand. And so paying to acquire traffic, paying to acquire awareness on Meta or Google. We're very bullish on both of those companies still, because we've seen those ad platforms just perform even better and better over the last 6 months since more of the LLM models have rolled out.
Yeah, they can get so targeted. And so like when
Crazy.
you're working with say like a local like we own an optometry practice.
Oh,
So
nice.
for us it's like we don't need to reach people in California, like we need to reach people that can actually get to the office. So when you're working with a small business that is more like localized, how do you guys handle like those paid ads? Are you figuring out like who the exact target customer is? Or are you figuring out like okay, if they're going to come to your practice, they're also probably shopping here or doing these things. And then how do you finagle that with like a local business?
Yeah, so let's take off optometry if you don't mind, right? So, okay,
Sure. I know that world. So yes.
yeah, someone has issues with vision, right? And they're going to go online and they're starting to query certain things. And it might be just initial research around, hey, and a lot of this is where a lot of the research stuff has gone to Claude and ChatGPT. Like, hey, my doctor said I had this, or my primary care physician said I needed to go see a specialist. Here's the issue I have. Do, 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 do. And then from there, okay, well, who are the best options in that particular area? And it's going to give a localized list. And same thing if they were going to Google and searching, optometrist near me or
Hmm.
whatever city they might be in. And so with the paid ads, where we can get really effective is when they are either researching that data, like we were talking about. So let's say you're an optometrist, you specialize in certain practice, or they're just looking for optometry clinic near me, which is obviously a high intent signal. That's when we'll really push to place visibility in an ad at the top of that result. And so, to your point, the localized aspect, we want to get granular with how we target your area, right? So, obviously, there's going to be a lot of people searching for those types of services in the area. But hey, are we better focusing on this neighborhood versus this neighborhood, right? Do we take insurance? Do we not take insurance? That can obviously adjust where you're actually going to geolocate your ads, right? And then a lot of times what we'll do is, it's not the first time they click on your website that they actually end up calling, but we capture that they searched, that they then clicked, and then we want to have a secondary targeting mechanism. And that's where you're saying the targeting gets so good is, oh, now I'm on Facebook or now I'm on Instagram and I'm getting the ad for the doctor that I researched. And it's a nice video of him explaining, hey, here's how we intake, here's the care, here's the white glove service that you're going to receive here versus somewhere else. And it's that reminder of, oh, shoot, I do need to schedule that. I
Like,
did.
oh, right. Yeah.
Then they go back with more intent. They just are searching probably brand for this optometrist name, and then boom, get to a website call. And we're obviously tracking that out. And that's that multi touch attribution type
And then
model.
it's almost like you can't get away from it. You're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, now I see this person everywhere. I've
Yeah.
even had like, I'm shocked by the speed at which this happens. So I'll have brands reach out to me that they want to send product, say.
Sure.
I will respond within 30 seconds. They are flooding my Facebook feed. They're all over my Instagram feed. And now I'm seeing that. I'm literally seeing it everywhere. And
Yeah.
it happens like instantaneously. There's
Yeah.
no lag in between anymore.
Yeah, and that's where I mean they're really these systems, Meta, Google, they're algorithmic in nature, obviously, and it's big data aggregation, right? So, okay, all those search queries that are happening, it's pulling those into an audience, and then that audience is attached with their emails to these social accounts. And so, boom, it just opens up the pipeline that, hey, this is someone that is high intent to serve ad to. And that's where we're kind of on the back end, really at the command control, because you got to be careful as well. We call it frequency rate, to where it can be annoying as well, or it can be spam, or maybe that person that has seen the ad 15 times now is already a customer after they saw the ad the second time. And we've just wasted 13, ad impressions or clicks or whatever, because we're now not they're still in our targeting pool. We need to make sure we're only looking for net new acquisition of customers. So that's a
Oh,
lot
that's interesting.
we're controlling and shifting budgets, right, based on different campaigns that are layered and have different strategies to get to our end result and do it as efficiently as possible, obviously, to drive the best monthly recurring net income, like we're talking about.
Right. What I appreciate about you is that you seem so dedicated to what is actually going to get you ROI. You know,
Yes.
like looking through your website, like that's a common theme in there. And in marketing, how easy is it to just throw money at stuff and have no clue if it's
Very.
working or not? Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
We realized we were doing a couple $100 worth of ad spend on Google without, we had no clue what it was targeting. We never set it up officially. We have no clue what we're doing in that department. And we've
Mhm.
been doing that for years.
Yeah.
We literally years.
Yep.
And marketing is such an easy place to throw money at without realizing what the ROI is. So talk to me through when you're working with a business, how you guys determine the ROI, like what that customer acquisition, how you determine those amounts and what where your money should be spent.
Yeah, great question. And to your point too, I was talking. We had an event here the other day, and I can't remember how the conversation spurred. And the guy's like, "Yeah, I spent $10,000 on some booth, and the booth showed up, and it was nothing that we expected." And then I'm like, "Man, what could that $10,000 have done with you guys
Literally.
and your meta ads and the return on that?" Right. So, yeah, it's definitely pulled on traditional marketing, right, in terms of how you attribute awareness type like billboards or bus signs and out of home stuff. They do work, but what we're talking about is attribution more than anything, right? Measurement and attribution. So, one of the first things we do during onboarding is we sit with the client and say, okay, what can we measure first, right? What systems do you have in place? Do you have a CRM? Do you have advanced first party domain server side tracking on your website? And if not, we need to get those things set up, right? We need the instruments and the tools to be able to fly the plane. Once we have that, then okay, once that person submits a form, or if it's e commerce, a lot easier, they buy the product, boom, that one reverts back to wherever that click came from for an ROI. But in service, and going back to our optometry model, it's about tracking that data and then also even sales enablement too. So that's where CRMs come into play. HubSpot, Go High Level are the two best that, or for small businesses that we really recommend. And what we'll do is we'll know that this person submit a form. We have attribution, which will mean it came from this campaign, from this keyword, or maybe it came from this ad creative based on whatever message we might have ran, and then following it through the stages. We called, we qualified them. They're coming in for a consultation. Boom, they actually booked. Here's the revenue tie out. And so, depending on the visibility and transparency we get from the client side, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes we just have to assign like a value on the lead potentially if they won't open up the books. But a lot of times, our best clients and the relationships that work the best, they're helping us because we need to know as well, like, okay, what is closing out? Are these leads good? Yes, we could be generating leads, but if they're low quality, like who cares?
Right.
Yeah, it actually becomes an administrative burden,
Now
right?
it's just wasting everyone's
Yeah,
time.
and then
Yeah.
your salesperson's like, "Can you okay, please stop. Like these are a joke. They're wasting my time, just giving runaround, right?" And so that's where going back like early days, we focus like the first 90 days. And in that first 30, when we turn those ads on, we know that we're going to get some stuff in there that's low quality, but it's, hey, making sure we get the feedback loop, finding out where that's actually coming from. And then either a lot of times it's more adjustment to the ad or the copy or the targeting,
Hmm.
or it's like, hey, cut that entirely because we did find a profitable ad here and start to move budget into those areas. So a lot similar like an investing strategy, right? You're going to have 10 stocks versus just one. And then from
Hmm.
there, you're able to move and you're obviously diversifying your risk too. So I think that's one of the things we're really helping is alleviating the risk of just lighting money on fire, which, yeah,
Yeah.
you've seen horror.
So easy to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
there are horror stories of lighting money on fire when it comes to marketing and advertising.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool is when people get to the point where they're like, I know that every dollar I spend on this very targeted advertising gets me $2.50 back. And
Mhm.
so, like, when you can get to that point, but like for small business owners, how long does it take to get to that point where you're like, things are working, you're hitting a flow, you're understanding where people are coming from? How long is that process?
Yeah, good question. And I think that's where we're making sure like you have our team expertise, knowing how to set those things up and get to that point quicker. I mean, if you're doing it on your own and don't have maybe the insights or technical capabilities to set up, you might get there, but might just take you a longer period of time or depends on how much time you're actually working on the account. But yeah, again, we think 90 days. So, like 0 to 30, you're capturing information more than anything, right? You're understanding, was our original hypothesis right or wrong? We're checking in on a weekly basis to make quick adjustments if we see stuff that's immediately off course. And then we feel like, okay, within that 30 days, we've made adjustments needed. 30 to 60, now you're focusing on we should be generating leads or sales at that point. You're starting to factor in, okay, what is that return on investment of those items? And then in that 60 to 90, you're starting to double down on your winners, cut your losers. But every single month as well, after that ongoing, we constantly want to allocate some budget to new testing, new creative, right? Finding that just because these 10 were the optimized ones through the first 90 days doesn't mean they're going to be the most optimized for the next 90 days. And that's where we have to continuously test, monitor, obviously. And then, yeah, when you do have those winners, to your point, you can get aggressive, right? Or you can start to scale those things up. And obviously, the more time you have and that goes on, you can be more confident in those decisions. So that's where, like, yeah, our traditional engagements are about 6 months. And then at the end of that 6 months, it's like, okay, what are we going to double down on? If it's just this channel, sometimes it's, hey, meta ads didn't work as well as Google. So let's put 80% of the budget into Google and 20% into Meta, even though we started with a 50-50 split, something along those lines.
Yeah, I think what you're hitting on is so important. It's like it takes time to build these. And as small business owners, you start something and it's like 3 days in and you're like, this isn't working. Like,
Yep.
we're not getting anything. We're not getting views on it. We're not getting clicks through it. But
Yeah.
there is a time piece to it where like you need to get a large enough amount of data before you're really making those decisions,
And
right?
that's where for us too, right? It's just an understanding and alignment, right? When we're going through the discovery process for those clients too, like how this works. And sometimes like, hey, if you don't have that 6 month runway, like that's okay. Then and we'll try and tell that client, like, then there might be alternative options, right? Because ads can get more expensive, especially if you're working with an agency, because you have the ad spend, plus you have our management. It also depends on what you need. Do you need the leads immediately, or does an organic? We haven't even talked about SEO, but does
Yeah, I'm curious about all
yeah,
that.
yeah, does an organic SEO strategy make more sense where it's going to be 75% less from a cash flow standpoint, but it's a little longer term and it's a different strategy. It's earned media versus paid media and paid acquisition. So I think that's where it's, yeah, really understanding your business and then finding a good partner, right? That again is not just going to go away, that has a good process system. You can tell early days, right? Do they communicate well? How does the onboarding go? Those are big things we focus on because obviously the buyer sentiment, they're the most anxious right after they sign on that
I'm
dotted
sure
line.
they're like
Yeah.
committing
And
to,
then, yeah,
a chunk of
if you
money.
don't get an email out within a day, they're like, oh no, no, this is not for me. I'm getting scammed.
They're not loving on me right now. Yep.
Exactly. So I think that's a lot of where too, like depending, who you're selling to, understanding your customer as an agency is important. And then on the businesses side, yes, this is an like this is not just a flip in a way, flip it on, yes, and it goes, but that's going to be more expensive. But you're also looking to build something long term that can be repeatable, that can give you that peace of mind that, hey, we know where the new business is going to come from. Or if it does start to dry up, we have a team that can pivot and move into other channels. And that's where we've really worked to build a holistic omni-channel offering, to where, yeah, if our SEO program is not working, we can artificially inflate it with paid media. And now we're going to be more competitive. We're going to drive blended cost per acquisition, which is a lot of times where you get those acquisition numbers driving down. Hopefully to as close to zero as
Yeah.
possible is what I always tell people.
Yeah. I mean, like literally what's happening in my brain right now is like making me realize how important it is to work with people that really know what they're doing.
Yeah,
And, like I help do the marketing for the practice, but like I'm not a marketing expert. So like
sure.
that's why we were wasting money on Google ads for the last 5 years.
Sure.
And there's so many different nuances with it. And it can get so complicated that it is important to work with somebody that is in it day to day. Because if
Yeah.
you do it on your own, it's so easy for me to say those ads didn't work.
Right.
But
Right.
you're like,
Yeah.
no, it was you that didn't
Right.
work them right.
And you hit a key point, right? Is that there's so much going on and there's so much noise, and there are a majority of the channels, they do work, or they do work to a certain degree based on what your goals might be, but it's more so kind of knowing, which levers to pull, when, how to kind of structure it. We're really big on phased approaches, right? So like, hey, phase A, we're going to focus on this service. But then once we get that dialed in, the next growth lever in phase B is adding this on top of it as well. And I think that's where small businesses have struggled, because it's hard finding and I can't even do it, right? I don't know social media ads from my right hand, right? Like it's not foreign, it's not natural to me, but I have a team that does, and they fill that gap. And so small businesses to go out and find an expert in SEO and an expert in paid media and an expert in social media marketing becomes very difficult. So we see really good relationships. They have that kind of marketing coordinator or marketing director, and then we're like the marketing department off the shelf, or a toolkit for that person to utilize the different tools that we need. And then obviously the strategy and us knowing how these landscapes work is a huge competitive advantage for people that are working with us.
Right. It's like you can't be an expert in everything. And so just really lean on the experts and do what you do best. Let
That's
them
right.
do what they do best.
Nailed it. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's if a small business owner has, let's say, $500 they want to spend, where would you say is the best place for them to put that money?
Yeah, I think right now it would be, I think paid media opportunities are there. We're seeing like lower cost per click. We're seeing, because there's not enough advertisers that are even wanting to challenge new platforms. So like Meta, we've seen just has tons of inventory with people spending time on Instagram and on their social media accounts. And so when you're looking at, okay, I have $500, I can go out, put some ads, test, see what types of results I do get. And then from there, make a decision of like, all right, is this something worth investing more budget into, time, energy, and getting somebody on board that, is an expert, or it might be a hire, right? You're like, hey, we're going to run this and build this internally. There are a ton of small businesses that have done that, but I think that $500 in those channels is going to get you those quicker results to start to see what's happening versus, okay, you spend $500 posting social media content. Just know that you're going to have to spend that $500 for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months before you really start to see any true return, because it's just so noisy
Yeah.
out there from an organic perspective. And that will be, you got to have that long term mindset there. So, yeah, I feel like the
Right. The
paid.
barrier to entry is so easy when it's free and everyone's
Yes.
testing it out because it's free, essentially free.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. So it's like, oh, we posted 5 times on Instagram this month and didn't drive any leads. It's like, yeah, that's, of course, that's.
then who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I've done that for 10 years on certain channels, and but guess what? I'm still posting because it might be that piece that's also, oh, they see your name on social media, then they go and search, and you do have an ad running. They make that correlation, right? And then they're just more prone to actually engage with you. So it all adds up, right? It's just really asset resource allocation, budgeting a lot of times with your marketing and advertising. But yeah, I think Google and Meta have done a phenomenal job, especially with a lot of that search demand and a lot of people just spending more of their time when they're on devices on ChatGPT and Claude versus social media or even the Google ads. So that paid placement's going to be critical nowadays.
Yeah, and it's ever changing every day. I feel like it's something different, something new, some other place you need to be. So keeping
Yes,
up with the times, right?
exactly. Yeah, wild times we're living in for sure.
It changes daily. I'm like, oh shoot, now we're supposed to be posting on here. Oh, now we need to be doing this. Like, God, can't it just go back to like you're in the
Yeah.
yellow pages and people show up because you're like the one person that does it? Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's where I mean, just knowing too patience, right? I mean, the likelihood that that $500 is probably gonna work is low for the
yeah, right. Like keep realistic
yeah,
reality,
for the first month, but then, give it say, "Hey, I'm gonna spend $500 consistently for 6 months," right? Like, that to me for a small business would be more valuable than them putting $3,000 in 1 month and then making their decision off of that. And
Yeah,
we
that's a great tip.
yeah, and we do the same thing too. Like, early days, we're not blowing out the budget entirely in day 1. We're slow crawl, warming up the account, testing certain things with smaller budgets so we're not burning cash, and then, okay, pulling in the remaining budget when we do have validation, that these things are working or not working.
Yeah. And then all, systems to go after that, right?
Right, yeah, then scale as fast as
Light it on
possible.
fire and go.
Yeah, then we're yeah, the fires cut the rocket fuel, right? So yeah, exactly. But
So
yeah, it
fun.
gets fun when you have that perfect relationship and the client understands, they have our expertise. We're getting the early results and then you start to see these budgets increase and the results that get
You see
generated.
the business owners take a breath because it's working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just the validation or we have a team channel for shout outs, right? And just sharing a client telling us their closed deal of this amount. And yeah, we had a record month with one client back in February. We did $4 million in 25 with them, and we did 1 million in 1 month with them this year.
Oh, wow.
So like stuff like that is very
That's tangible.
very
You can actually see it. You
yeah.
can't, there's no arguing it's
I
working when
have
you can
I
see it
have
like
well, I
that.
can't show you because my client would kill me, but I have the numbers, we have them tied out to revenue, we know exactly what campaigns they came from, and but it's through, that's a client that's been with us for 3 years now, 4 years, right? So,
Right.
yeah, it's a lot of
You're
hard
like sluicing for gold. And then when it starts rising to the top, but that takes a lot of time to get to that
yes,
point.
ma'am.
And
Yes, ma'am.
to your point, like it's something you try for a month and give up on. Like you're committing to this and tweaking it along the way. I think that's a great
Yeah,
advice.
and I was talking to somebody and they said it best. It's like if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, and you're not going to invest in growth, then like, what are why did you I think you gotta ask yourself like why did I start this in the first place, right? I think that's maybe a question to ask and then consider, how yeah.
You're just living off a prayer at that point that people
Yeah,
are going to
yeah,
walk in your
yeah,
door.
it's, like, such a great and simple point, but and sometimes, people do things for interesting reasons.
And none of it all makes sense.
Yeah, exactly, yeah,
Um,
can't worry about that.
yeah. All right. We're running out of time. You've been super interesting and helpful today. But one thing that I love leaving my listeners with is like, what would be that one advice you would give somebody, a small business owner that would help improve their life or their business? If they could do one thing today, what would you recommend that be?
Gosh, I think it goes to AI actually, but get an AI note taker, right? Like, so when you're especially everything, a lot of Zoom calls, digital communication, or they even have ones if you're in person that you can set on the table and it will transcribe, record. Because what's happening, and talked about it earlier, trust, authenticity, expertise. Like what we're doing, we're taking calls, notes from calls, and we're able to use the AI to turn that into the content distribution that's so necessary. And so it's bringing to light the real strategy conversations we're having, the real client challenges. It's helping us be more organized and efficient, operational procedures, have a call, talk about it, throw the notes into ChatGPT and say, build my SOP for new hires on this conversation, right? So
Wow. Yeah.
honestly has nothing to do with marketing. Well, you could use it for marketing, but I think leveraging AI and tools, get on Claude, get on ChatGPT, try it. Just start using it, right? And then it's very cheap. I think even the personal paid plan, if you don't have a budget, there you go, 20 bucks there, and then
Yeah.
your marketing budget is your time based on what you might be able to figure out and create off of that. So yeah, I think you got to lean into the AI world, the LLMs, or yeah, I think you're
There's
gonna.
no denying that world is here to stay,
It
so it's
is
not
not
going anywhere.
anywhere. Yes, you're exactly right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, if people want to find out more about yourself or your company or they want to work with you, where's the best place for them to go to find you?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Very active just on all social medias, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, probably my primary ones, just personally. Search my name, Robb Fahrion, Rob with two B's. So that's an easy find. And then for our company, Flying V Group, our website, flyingvgroup.com, all major social channels at Flying V Group, YouTube. We've got a AI actually executive playbook right now on our website as a giveaway or just a lead magnet, right? Give your email and we'll fire that over to you. It's a great resource. But yeah, would love to connect. DM me. I'll give you my email address and let's jump on a call. I love meeting new people.
Awesome. I'm going to put these in the show notes too so people can reference them there. But I so appreciate you coming on today. This has been really interesting. And again, makes you just realize how much of this world a lot of people don't know and why it's just good to trust the experts when going with it.
Thanks so much, Sarah, for having me. This was awesome. You're a great host.
Ah, thank you.